Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to the advertising series. You signed up with me. You're either taking me in an online class, a face-to-face class, or in one of my workshops. And this is an advertising series. And this lesson today, which we call Lesson 9 or Chapter 9, will be planning media strategy, disseminating the message. Okay, so let's go right into the learning objectives. Let's set it out this way. This should take you about a half an hour to an hour, depending on how much information I could cover. You have the concept maps. Open them up. Utilize them as another way of taking notes after you read the chapter materials. Look at my concept maps. Write in your own additional information that makes it clear to you. Remember, when I provide you information to the conceptual maps or mind maps, is how I think I simplify it. But you may need a little bit more, so always add on to it. That's why you're available in the course management system that you're taking me with, if it's an online class or even in a face-to-face class, because I utilize that as a supplemental. What do you call it, resource for the student. So what are the course objectives? We're going to describe how media plan helps accomplish objectives. Remember, we're talking about integrative marketing communication, advertising. This is the advertising course you're taking me for. Advertising is the communication medium, all communication from an integrated marketing campaign. In other words, we would call it the integrated marketing communication. What's the final message? How do I present the message? What mediums and who receives the messages, and how do I make sure the message is working adequately? Define reach and frequency. How many people do I want to reach in my audience, my target audience, and how often does that target audience needs to be reminded of my ad through different media tools or resources that I'll be utilizing for this integrated marketing communication, or what we would be considering IMC. So when you're writing your paper for me, my final presentation, usually there's a paper required and advertising plan. I want you to remember, always utilize some of the key concepts. So start writing things that you're thinking about now. There's 7 headers that will be required. Look at it, at the handout that I provided. Look at the rubrics, and now start building it as you're taking these courses. You're going to come up with a product or a service, or a product or service. You're going to do an advertising plan, or the feasibility advertising plan, your first draft of an advertising plan, which should have some details. So this is another chapter here, another learning that it will build on your overall product. So you come back, you'll have a tangible action plan or advertising plan that you could say, hey, look what I did for this hypothetical business, or a real business, or a real product that you actually do want to advertise and get more awareness or increase your market share. Okay, calculate the gross rating points or cost per thousand. When we did the research sections a few lessons back, when I create an ad, the best ad in the world, the people who create it think this is it. We don't really know until it goes out there. Now the other things, when I'm looking, I had to set up goals. How many people don't want to see this ad? What's going to be the frequency? How much is going to cost me, depending on the medium, per ad or exposure? So this is what this we'll be talking a little bit. I'll show you the formula. Real simple. There's website links that you could just plug in the numbers, and it does a calculation for you. Explain the importance of creativity in media planning. When I'm looking at creativity, everyone, it's a little more than just, creativity is the artistic, different color. But how do I, what times do I bring it in? How do I bring the picture? How do I expose the customer base or the target audience that I'm trying to saturate with my advertising or my integrated marketing communication about my product or service? Name the secondary research sources and describe their use. Describe different advertising, scheduling, and their purposes. This is what we're going to be covering for this. It sounds boring, but it's very interesting, because you have to understand that. Once you understand, it's like you look at yourself as you're a doctor, or you're a construction worker, or you're a baker, or a culinary chef, whatever you want to be. You have to have a tool bag. You have some kind of tools or something that makes this. So look at this each chapter as a tool that you could utilize for the ultimate advertising communication campaign that you could bring out to your client, representing your agency or your business. Okay, so let's go into media planning. Okay, decision issues. Where do I advertise? These are questions you're going to have to be asking. These are questions that you may have to ask for any kind of action plan. Which media would I utilize? There's a whole bunch of a variety of media we're going to discuss. What time of the year should I uh, release it, expose it? What's the better time? When usually you don't see too much advertising coming around April 15th because people are too concerned about the taxes. You see a lot of advertising trying to get that extra money that people get that people return for after they got their tax return. So they has a whole new ad. Uncle Sam gave you this. He wants you to help to the economy, help overcome the economic downturn or whatever. Okay, and how often? How do I integrate it within the different mediums? And decisions are critical. Which decisions have to go and at what time? Increase the media options. So I'm going to go. Clients want more demand. They're more demanding. They want more for their money. The consumers want more for their money. If I look at advertising agencies, are stressed. Hey, I only have so much money. How do I get the biggest exposure and frequency rate for the smallest amount of capital? Do you want accountability? Do you want information about your products? And do you want creative buys? So that means you can say, hey, your customers are third shift. We could get you a real good deal on TV ads, but it's on the third shift. And this is the target market you're trying to track anyway. So this works hand in hand. That's being creative. Or you could do a cooperative with another individual. I never thought about that. Because they're complementing my product, so both of us do one ad. They're not direct competition, but their product is utilized in their advertising, and my product is utilized in their advertising. So we can buy the advert. That's creative. Being creative. How do I utilize and maximize my expense for the advertising? Okay, media options challenges. The biggest option is audience fragmentation. I have different segments, and how do I receive them? Direct mailing makes it easier. I could go by zip codes because a lot of times you go in the store and they'll ask you what zip code you're for. So they say, I got a lot of customers come in from this zip code that is not what would be considered in our geographic area, but for whatever reason they're working and they're passing through here, so that we could directly mail an ad directly to that zip code and know that there's people for whatever reason. It doesn't make sense, but they're working in this area, and it's another way to give them ads so they could come in there. And that's still utilizing my advertising dollars effectively, efficiently, because they keep on saying this zip code keeps on coming up a lot. So I could justify that. Increase my buying complexity. That's what's the challenge. Consumers are utilizing apps. They're buying differently. They're using Bitcoin. Do I have that feature if I'm trying to sell a product, or if I'm a financial market? Is that something that I'm trying to hit this target, the younger generation, that are more into Bitcoins? I'm just throwing that up as an example to look at it, what's going on, what's the competition doing. So if I'm looking at this ad spending by different medium, this kind of makes a sense. So cinema, this is TV. 38% still, most of the ads are on TV. It's a large exposure. And now you have cable TV and satellite TV or satellite radio. I could zero down to a particular zip code that cable provider is providing. So it still could be very local, instead of being just send out, if I'm all the way in Lake Zurich and I'm advertising south side of Chicago, I'm a restaurant, very rarely they're going to come drive all the way to my hot dog stand to use my 25-cent coupon or 50-cent coupon. Doesn't make sense. But then when I'm doing it with cable TV or satellite, they would know here's the by zip code, so I could saturate just that area, and I'm not waiting. So it doesn't cost me as much as I'm doing a massive. But if I'm doing like a large distributor like Walmart, they want to do massive campaigns, or at least regional in a certain area. And then radio, magazine, newspapers, outdoor. Internet's picking up 16%, not as much, but it's going larger and larger. You see more of the younger generation are utilizing internet. It's just one tool of how I'm going to get to my customer base. Okay? So let's see. Now, what I'm going to do, the objectives of any kind of advertising communication. You have to understand, and there may be several objectives, maybe awareness, your product, price. It depends how the integrated marketing campaign comes out with. They come out with some kind of strategical plan. You're the voice now. Now you have to bring it out. You take this plan and you bring it out. Now you're just sending it out. You're sending out the communication. Hey, we're available. Here's what's going on. And it could be several different ads to promote, advertise, or promotion at the same time. That's something you have to decide. But most of it, you're looking at your target market. Who's my customers? What's your occupation? What are the social group? What is the income? Who are the opinion leaders? And those could be individuals. It could be a sports figure. It could be a person of a community. If you're targeting a religious organization, if I could get a pastor or a minister or someone that looks holy, for lack of better words, if that's my target market. If I'm targeting a baby boomer, someone that looks like myself. If I'm targeting Generation Z, I have to get a younger person so he or she's in the ad so they connect. And and that's how I pick up. So who are they? Who I have to understand that. That's part of my objective. Once I know who I'm targeting from an advertising, and here's a media objective I'm looking at for Acme Advertising. That's for food. Target large fan with emphasis with food purchases. Use of food concentrating on the greatest wealth of advertising urban areas. That's where they want. They want the suburbs. They want where there's a lot of people concentrated. That's where my ads, so I could saturate it. I have a higher exposure rate with for less expensive because there's a lot of people in an area versus I'm in a suburb or in a country or in a rural area or farm setting. And it just gives you some idea. So it has on there. So message distribution objectives, when, where. Let me use the what do you call it, the visual on here. So defining the media objectives, message distribution, audience size, how much the message, weight on the message to get them in. Am I maintaining my audience? Is this a new product? Am I addressing a brand new audience? I have to do more, educate them so they're more aware of my product. The reach. How do I achieve them, and the frequency, and how often do I continue the ads to make sure that they remember it. Okay, so we took care of that. Now, the media 5 M's. Market, money, media, and mechanics. Let me make this just a little bit lit. I think I might have it at 150. Let me make it at 200. It's easier for you to see. Remember, if you're watching this at a YouTube, you could always expand it, or if you're on my channel, you hit it on the little box and makes it larger, and you can move along. You can see everything out there. So, what are my markets? Regional, ethnic, social groups. That's what I'm trying to do. Money. How much is it going to cost me? How much do I have? If I'm going to go under and do an ad, I only got $10,000. I'm not going to do a TV ad because I'm going to waste all my money on one thing. I'm not going to saturate that. It's not going to be effective. Look at what's happening out with the politicians with their advertising. They're looking how much they have in their war chest, for lack of a better word, the political campaign fund. Because the ones who have more doesn't make him or her a better candidate. It's just I see their face more, and it's the last thing in my mind. I might just subconsciously see the positive, and there's a negative, but they saturate me with all the positive. Then I may vote for him and say, why did I vote for him? I didn't like that person. But, they knew the right triggers, okay? So how much money and where I'm going to allocate it, to which media makes sense, which one I'm going to get a bigger return on my advertising dollars, different, all commercial, radio, outdoor, sales promotion, public relation, special events, brochures, even shopping bags, anything I give out, if I could put my name or the target or anything else, that's a media that I want to utilize. How much am I spending on each? If I have a grand opening, I would rather give them something to take back. What am I going to give them? What can I buy by quantity? And something that they see of value. They're not going to take it as junk and toss away. Something, like a nice coffee cup, something they're wearing that it will give me a higher exposure from other individuals. Hey, where did I get that? Okay? And the mechanics is how to bring it together. The methodology is overall strategy selecting by variety of factors over which the media planner has little or no control, scope of the media, strategy, budget. Remember, I'm sending out the message. I'm sending out, like, come to my wedding, and I'm sending everyone an invite. And some people will come, some will see it, some will toss it, some will not. So I have some control of the message. I control the message, I package it, but how it's interpreted is a little I may not have all that control. So I have to have different way of explaining if something controversial, or I'm always monitoring it. Okay, so that's my mythology. Pretty good. Now we're moving along very nicely here. Okay, now developing a media strategy. Let's see what we have in here. I have a lot. Here's an exhibit of overall, and I'm going to go through a few of these. So if I'm looking at the overall strategy, this is my whole marketing strategy in a nutshell, in a big nutshell. I have a plan, the scope. I have market, decision factors. Are we looking for increasing market size or sales potential? Are we looking at developing or improving our brand image? Well, are we coming up with a new category or development, another niche? What's my competition doing? How much do I have budgeted? And can I compete with my competitor in that ad, or do I find another medium that may be more effective? I can't compete them on TV. Maybe I hit them on radio, or maybe I do public relations or PR, somehow get in there in front of the mayor and please help this little small businesses out, and it goes nationwide. Chicago mayor helps out this GAM business consulting and education LLC consultant trying to pay off his student loans, or trying to grow in the area. He's new in town, whatever. And now I get worldwide TV advertising without spending that money, but I don't control the message. Okay, media availability. When is it available? When is there's other people that want the same media. I only have so much money, so that's where the economics, the cost comes in. Media nature, mood of the message. Is it going to be a comedy? Is it going to be serious? Is it going to be working for the emotional? Is it to take care of a product? If I'm for lack of better words, a funeral director, you can't be happy. Oh, your loved one passed away, and we've got the way to bring him up to heaven, or we've got alternative things for hot or cold caskets. I'm making fun here. I'm a comedian. I'm trying to bring that in. That would be not inappropriate, because it's a sensitive issue. But it may get some people's attention, because some people look at passing over as going to a better life, or coming back as a better life, whatever. So I could depending on who I'm sending that message, I'm going to be careful, okay? And then buyer purchase patterns. How did you buy? Where did you buy? Message size and position. Where do I put my message? Is it at the beginning of the news? At the beginning of the paper? In the middle? Is it a sports section? Or is it in the home improvements? Depending what I want to message, depending where I think my buyers are reading it, depending where they could see it, and kind of stumble on it, or something that could get their attention so they'll read it, or is it going to be in multiple places? So that is the overall scope of everything else. So then I have decisions. I have this brand development index, and it just tells you, it gives you a systematic or a mathematical rating to see where you're at. And the author did a nice job on that. Here's the formula, if those are looking at. Percentage of brands total U.S. sales in the area divided by percent of total population in the area. And it gives you a certain index form to see where your brand falls in with the larger brands. If you're a small business, you don't need to go through all this to find out, hey, I'm the only one here and I got everybody else. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. That's fine. But as when companies get larger, or anything else you want to see, how we're going to improve your brand. It's kind of nice to see where you finally end up on the index, okay? And then I have a chart what it looks like. So it looks something like this. It tells you which brand, your low brand, a good market potential. And that's where you find out the index in the population. Is there something that you want to come in there? Because there's an area that you could, there's a niche that isn't being serviced, and there's a need that people want that niche taken care of, and you're providing that product or service to do that. No competition, everything else. Exhibit of, what do I have on here? Okay, so we already had all that. I just talked about that in here. We're doing pretty good, okay? So let's see what some media tactics are. Now I'm looking at campaign objectives. Remember, and these are real, I'm just going to go on here. Review the nature of the product or service. What are we making? What do we stand for? What is our core, what's the product supposed to do? What do you want me to do with this, okay? Intended objectives. What's the objective? Do I want to bring people in? I'm an advertiser now. I'm the creative person. Tell me what you want. You created this thing, and I kind of like it. What could it do? I test it. I understand it. I know everything else. I know the value. I understand the customer. You want to sell it to this person? I may at this time say, okay, well, you could do this. We could do this. But I have to buy in also. Content and editorial policies, a media vehicle, compatibility with products are important consideration. What products are we selling? Does it complement the product? Does it complement the brand? Remember, everything that I'm selling doesn't make sense for the brand. Does the product line fit into my product mix of the business that I'm selling, or is this a whole new brand, or this is a whole new look or image that I'm going to try to venture out, a whole different market. So I want to change how I look, I want to change how I advertise. I have to understand that. Now, the audience characteristic, total number of people. How many people are in the audience? Remember, the whole world is 1 billion people, a lot of individuals in the world. You're looking at how much is in the Chicago area, how much in the Wisconsin area, how much is down south, how much is in wherever you're coming up to, total number of people. How many households to a medium that you think can explain. So now I know this area. Here's how many people. How many households do you think I can reach with a newspaper? A lot of people don't read a newspaper. How many households can I read with the internet? Everyone's got a computer, smartphone, but will they find my message with 1,000 other internet messages out there? How costly is the medium's audience matches the profile of the target? If it's something I have to spend a lot of money or capital investment, and my product is not, I only get 2 cents on a return on the product, may not be worth it. Remember, you're always looking at the economics. You're looking at the budget. You're looking at the you're looking at the customers. Just because this may be the best media, but effectively, it'd be nice to have it out there, nice for exposure. Says we're playing with the larger organizations. We are, our perception that we are a larger organization, but it may not be an effective use of that media for your product, for your customer base. And you should be able to say no. Okay, then we're going with the exposure. And exposure, think of how many people an ad sees, not how many people see the ads. You're looking at the ad. Here I am. When I look at the person who's driving by, and I look at the person when you have Liberty taxes we're doing, you have a person dressed like the Statue of Liberty. Here, come on in, there's like a Jiffy Lube guy. I don't know if I'd go into somebody who's out there dressed like the Statue of Liberty to come in and do my taxes. It doesn't look very professional if I'm a business. It's good if I'm a small mom and pop organization, that's what they're targeting. But a larger one like a Hewitt, it has to be very professional because I'm doing with the Motorola's, I'm doing with the larger organizations. All right, so if we're doing that, we should be doing pretty good. Let me just close this off again. Make sure everything is recording. Hang on, I got to make sure that's not it. I got this working. Yep, we're still on. Okay. All right. Okay, let me turn that off. Okay, so developing the market strategy, overall objective, plan scope. Okay, we want all that. Let's look at this next one. So I'm looking at exposure. The senses used to perceive messages from a medium, right? How much and what kind of attention the medium requires. Whether the medium, and when I'm talking about medium, it's not like a spiritual medium, is I'm using the print, I'm using the TV, I'm using the radio, I'm using internet, I'm using personal selling, I'm handing out flyers. All those are what we would consider medium. All right, or program aims at general or specialized audiences. Placement of the ad in the vehicle within or between the broadcast programs adjacent. Where do I put it in? If I look at people when they're doing garage sales, some people look at the garage sales, you want to be at the top of it. If I got to do it earlier, I got to be at the bottom. I want to be saturated. Where do you think that the majority of people who are looking for garage sales are? First of all, who are most of your garage sales? Either older individuals are looking for people who are antiquers, or I'm looking more women doing more shopping for, like, I'm not stereotyping. Majority is a lot of women that go out there and find good deals and everything else. So maybe hit my ad, make sure my ad or an advertisement may be in the women's section or the cooking section. All right, so that's where exposure. Okay, the next one is medium tactics, is attention. How do I get attention? You have 6 factors are known to increase attention. Audience involvement with editorial content or program. Internet is, how do I get the audience? If I could get an involvement, write something down, rip this off. You get some of those things if I go Menards or a Home Depot where it says win a truck or something else. So they're trying to get you kind of involved, or put your information in here, or do a test taste, or the difference between Pepsi or Coca-Cola. And as the more I get them involved, the more they'll remember, hey, yeah, I was over there. Jimmy John gave me a try one of these new sandwiches. Tastes pretty good. Let me have some, could I quote you, this is a good Jimmy John sandwiches, or whatever. The more I could get my audience involved, the higher the better attention they'll remember about the product. You go into like Costco's or Sam's Clubs, and they're doing the Gizu knives, or they got the giant the ladders, or they're doing something that's getting the audience involved. They're taking knives, or they're giving you a drink, and everyone tries this different drink that's natural blender that's better than everything else because it keeps everything else. See, I remember all this stuff, and I'm just walking by, and geez, and I even bought the products. I don't need that, but I hear it. The seeds are there, so they're working well. Quality advertising, reproduction, and timeless of exposure. And motivation, again, later on you're looking at motivations. There's coupons, buy one, prices. There's a lot of things to motivate that, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. Cost efficiency. When you talk about CPM is cost per thousand, cost effectively. How much each medium per thousand exposures or units matches the target's audience, how each medium satisfies the campaign objectives and strategy, depending on how much frequency and exposures I want, and how well each medium offers attention, exposures, and motivation. So this is a measurement. The next one here is evaluate some of the issues in broadcast. Is cost per point. That means point of exposure that I see, because it's not like they're taking something. I could watch it in broadcast. How many times do they see my ad on the TV, and how effective it is? And that's usually, remember, I saw this ad on George's on the late night show, or mention this code. No, don't make it long code. Make it quick. Mention buy now, or something so somebody could remember it. You just want to see how effective the ad is in that area. So that's the medium. Okay, reasons to use mixed media. Mixed media. We have different senses. As I mentioned before, in the learning, the more senses I involved in the learning process, the more senses there I'm exposed to in one event, I have a higher probability of remembering more of the small details of the event, because each one builds on each other. So I reach more people by different media. Remember, if I only do it in the newspaper, only 30% of people read the newspaper. I ask students in my during my daytime class, usually Generation Y, millennials, and some coming in, Generation Z. I said, how many read the newspaper? Very, I may get maybe, I got a few baby boomers, or a few maybe over 40 or something that are reading it because of business requirement. Very few, very small percentage. They're on the internet, they're on the smartphone. They would see there when they click on there, they look at the little news clipping. That's all they want to see. They don't want to be bothered. Just 30 seconds, more than enough. So that's why, so you want to reach in a small target market. Some people may never open up your spam. So you want to mix your media, radio, this. So when I see it in the newspaper, I just heard that on TV. Let me see what they got a coupon coming. This is the coupon I'm looking for. Okay? And deliver the printed coupon, produce synergy. That means emotion. People want to do this. They're all hyped up about it. An exhibit of advantage of various media. And if I'm looking at this, here's some advantage. Newspapers, many ad sizes, quick placement, local targeting, magazines, high quality, reproduction, prestige, color selective, TV, combined site, sound, movie, single message, demonstration, social dominance, radio, intimacy, loyal, following, ability to change message quickly, internet, immediate response, interactive, highly selective targeting, very global, direct mail, measurable by graphs, 3D, highly personable, could go to the zip code, outdoor transfer, locating, targeting, graphs, color, simple messages, larger than life repetition, and mobile. Immediate response, interactive, impersonal, fast growing. Okay, that's your audience there. We're going to have a few more here. You're going to have 3 more. Okay, now how do I schedule all this? Let me go real quickly with the scheduling graph. Do I have that in here? I'll just go real quickly. No, that's not the graph. Okay, here's what we have. If I'm looking at the graphs, you can schedule your advertising to be continuous. Continuous. Advertising runs steadily all the time, every day. You see campaign ads at the last week, the last 3 days before a campaign. Same ad. Here's a negative, positive, negative, positive. After a while, I don't know. I'm looking negative, positive. Which one? Do I have more negative, positive? Which one do I vote for? Is which one I'm bombarded more, for lack of a better word. But after a while, at a certain point in the campaign, I already know who I'm voting for. The rest is I just turn off. I'm only listening to ads that support my position or my viewpoint of the candidate or that product. So this continues, varies over, doesn't change very little, it just continuously over and over. The next one is what they call flighting, and that is alternates periods of advertising with periods of no advertising. So I hit them at this morning, and then I don't anything in the afternoon, but I hit them at nighttime, or next time I hit them in the afternoon, but don't hit them in the morning. So I alternate, and that's kind of nice, because so they're not expecting that same ad. It doesn't become a nuisance, it doesn't become a spam, but they're still at different times. And you know, remember, at different times, different. My senses are doing different things, so it'll tie a different trigger towards that event for my memory to pull it back. Hopefully, it pulls it all back together to the jingle or to the main campaign. Is what I'm trying to do. Different information, different sensors coming in, but when I'm thinking of it, and when my mind is processing through the critical thinking skills, it pulls all these because there's a common denominator, and I see the whole picture. That is advertising. Okay, pulsating, mixing continuous, flighting strategies, continuous, and these two together, I kind of interact them as to give that pulsating effect. You know, bursting is another one they talked about. Is for high ticket items that require careful consideration. Running the same commercial every half an hour. It's like buy the Ginzu knife, buy the Ginzu knife, because I got so much, I got to get rid of it, or there's going to be a new something's going to happen about my ad that's going to be negative. I want to get rid of it now. On the same network in prime time can be effective. Road blocking is if I'm looking at, here's what I think when I look at the news. When the one channel has a news and now has a commercial, I flip to the other one. All of them have the commercials at the same time. So I might as well just stick with the same channel, because it may have different commercials, but they're always, I say, okay, it's 2 o'clock, everyone comes out with the commercial, 2:05, news, 2:06. So is there some kind of systematic order or scheduling with the large networks? They're going to say no, but when you look at it, I'm not naive. There most likely are something when you're looking at it. So if I'm already flipping from one, I should have my ad there. I don't want the news, or I may have a little news and flip it so I can at least pick up my ad. So just don't flip it over. I want to stop and look and then hit them with the ad. So by the time you do hit the remote, they're on. Okay. Now, blinking is digital equipment used for scheduling traffic to stretch a slim ad budget, flood the airways on Sundays, or both on cable and network TV. I just hit it at a certain time. At a certain time, time when it's low, there's no activity, I just bombard them. Okay, to make it virtually impossible to miss the ad. And then the schedule graph, when I look at this, here's the graph, a continuous ask, 100 per week. Uh, when I'm going, the ad is ran per week, flighting. Okay, so if I look at it, here's my schedule, and I have how many times does it shows, repetition, and how many times is the ad presented. Okay, different weeks, pulsating, 4 weeks off, so I have a different interval, different frequency, depending on the audience, or depending when I want to hit the audience to see that. Now, media planning software. Okay, so this is the best one. If I look at the software that makes my life easier, all the software does is a tool. I still have to have the creativity. I still have to understand. I put data in there. What computers can do: perform tedious number crunches. It does the numbers for me. Saves time and money. I don't have anyone entering it down. It does it automatically for me. Improves my decision making. Tells me how many people were exposed to it. Tells me here's how it increased. Tells me what happened. Here's for this reason we spent so much. But when I ask people in that area, for some reason they said they never received any kind of flyer. There was an issue with the mail. I was never notified, so there was no check. I assumed they were saturated, but the mail never came out. It came out 2 days later, and they're all coming in. And now I said, where are they coming in? The ads already passed. What do I do? So remember, I have to be able to be creative. Computer just gives me takes data and gives me information. With that information that I get from them, now I can logically think what's my next step. Computers cannot make the media call, cannot decide the medium for the best message, cannot evaluate the content. It gives me a good indicator. I can put all this stuff in there. It'll kind of like lead me in this area, but I still have to fine tune it and bring it down to meet my target market or my customer base. Okay, now here's some sites, a media planner. Let me just go in here. We found that out from last time. I think I can make this a little bit. Okay, bring it over here. Planning overview formula. So those of you who are doing my paper, Remember, you're utilizing the book, the supplemental material that is required for this course. If you're taking me at a college level and in my workshops or in a face-to-face class, these are some nice formulas for calculators. How do I do my, so I'm looking at a cost per exposure rate per material, per media. So I have all this. It's a pretty good site here. We'll kick that out. This next one is I'm looking at this one, SDR search, is basically is just information. I got to log in. I don't like this already. It was supposed to be a free site. So let's log in, password, keep me logged in, help, need access. Okay, I'll get rid of this one right off the bat. It wasn't supposed to do that. It was supposed to be a student site. So I will just delete this right here and get rid of that. So it's no longer on here, it's gone. Okay, so now Nelson rating. When I look at Nelson rating is pretty good. If I look at a Nelson rating, here's information, welcome information, feature news. Nelson has identified opportunities where advertisers can optimize their TV spending. Ooh, what the heck is that? Let's learn more. Here's how you learn. Here's how you get some information. Is prime time? Do you know where your buyers are? Entertainment. In today's world, going da 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 da. Nelson age and demographics have become on television audience. It's not a secret. They know a lot. So now they're saying advertise spending. Department stores and how to 46%. Ads spent by advertisers and spent by viewers vary by the different generics. Okay, so viewers spend so much times, and here's how much ads are spent. Fast food 4%, but viewers are looking more. So this gives me some information that I can still saturate this area. Okay, so that's another one. Nelson's top rating shows. Let's see what that is. Remember, you have all that. Sorry, we couldn't find the page. I must have did something wrong. Let me look at it here. Okay, so I had to find that thing, and then let's look at this one. I probably had something to do when I did that. About Nelson, so here's some Nelson audios here, gives some information, radio, ratings, survey schedules, marketing promotions, helpful links. Just see to have a radio ratings, put in your name. It gives you some ideas. You don't have to do it. It just tells you where you could do it, what's the cost, and sometimes you could do it as a trial basis if you could come in there to get some information. All right, I have to make sure I check that up. So we are done with our lecture here. Let me just close everything else. So we really did cover a lot. If I look what we covered today, we covered a lot about make sure the 5 M's is building. You're building for your advertising. You understand the different softwares out there. You have to understand scheduling. You have to understand the frequency. Use a mixed media. Use different tactics for the media. Develop a media strategy. Remember, you're a communication arm. What do you want me to communicate? What do you want me to tell the audience? What messages would they come in at? How should they be proactive? How do I get them into the store? Once I get them in the store, how does the sales personnel? What are ads on the store to remind the individual? Look, I'm buying something out here, a campaign in a fast food store. I go into the restaurant, they've got them all over. Kids know that right away. They can't read. They know they want a Happy Meal. They want this. They want a kid's meal. They want this. They want the different toys. They don't like this toy. They don't want the food. They already know it because they have been saturated from the beginning all the way around. Everywhere you see it, they have those triggers, and they're constantly using the effective. It's the same rationale for adults, only we are a lot more restrictive. We know how to filter better. We know how to block things out of our path. So how do I get that new attention with my advertising? And defining my objectives, you have to always know what is my outcome? What am I trying to accomplish? Who am I trying to accomplish this with? Who is going to read this? How do I present that? Welcome to advertising. My name is Dr. George Mochocki, the medium you select. So when you're doing my paper and you're utilizing this chapter, don't tell me I'm going to do radio. I'm going to do social media. What social media? Is it businesses, LinkedIn? Is it newspapers? Is it Wall Street Journal? Is it the Daily Herald? Is it Mad Magazine? Is it Entertainment Weekly? Who's the audience? What's the message? And why is it appropriate? That's what you have to do to make sure you're in the right location, spending your money or your client's money effectively to increase the market share. As the market share increases, I have more opportunity, I hire more, I utilize the same ad, I try to piggy it on, but I'm always coming up with a creative ad that's changing a little bit being a little bit provocative, a little bit flexible, a little bit creative, a little bit risque, for lack of better words, as to get their attention again and bring them into focus on what I'm trying to sell. Again, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and this is Chapter 9. Hopefully the recording worked well. My last, I think, Chapter 8, just some background information. I did that early in the morning, and I had the window open, so my mic is, if you look at the mic, I utilize the mic, really easy to talk to, so I could stand in there. It picks up a lot of sound, but sometimes it's a little bit too sensitive, okay? But everything's working well, so I'll see you in the next forum, and thank you for taking this class, and hopefully this is helping you. Remember, there's a lot of information. Don't get overwhelming taking this series. You're learning. Every little bit you're learning. First exposure for some of you for all new information, but now if you're in advertising, when they're talking about different rates, they're talking about frequencies, they're talking about research, they're talking about mixing the different medium, you now have a good foundational understanding, so you could communicate at a professional and at a level, and you're taking knowledge and able to use it and apply it in the everyday business setting, not just a lot of information. Those of you who had me other classes, I'm not one. Some people know all the definition and information, but they don't know how to take that new knowledge and able to apply it into a tangible product or advertising a campaign or communication. If all you're doing is just a walking dictionary, I don't need you. I could Google it. Cost me a lot less money. Okay? So learn this. Try to take this. Apply it to the business, to your product. Every chapter now you should be looking at this chapter. How do I do it for my ultimate goal, for my market strategies, my action plan for the product or service that I'll be advertising for this course that's a requirement. My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and I'll see you in lesson 10 in a few minutes.